Here. There we go. All right. Good morning. Good morning. Again. So I think you were both with me on Thursday when we wrapped up the movie Fences. Right now, we couldn't talk about it right after because it kind of took us right up to the end of class because I wanted to get everything finished. Um, but we're gonna try and recap it a little bit today. Now, hopefully, um, we remember. Um, just trying to think of the order we should do this in. Yeah. Okay. What we'll do. I have some questions that I want to ask and talk about, but I also know we watched it. You know, and we have a weekend in between the last time we watched it. So what we'll do is I want to rewatch the last maybe like 5-10 minutes or so, and then I'll ask you guys um, these two questions. What I want you to pay specific attention to in these last kind of 5-10 minutes is the fence around the yard. Um, Specifically, in kind of one of the last shots, we see something that happens with the gate for that fence and what we think that might mean, what that might symbolize. Okay, so I'm gonna throw the movie up here. We'll recap the, we'll rewatch this. All right, so that should give us a little recap of kind of how the movie ends there. So now I'm going to throw up these two questions. I want you to try and think about them, come up with answers in complete sentences, and throw them in the chat if you can. If you aren't able to type in the chat right now, you can come off mute if that is easier. But um, I'd like you to put them in the chat if you can so that I can see each of yours. All right. Here they are. First question says, "Do you think Troy built the fence?" And again, remember what I said about kind of paying attention in that last scene where the gate closes and what that might mean, what that shot might be trying to tell us. Right? Do you think Troy built the fence to keep people in or keep people out? Who do you think that he was keeping in or out? All right, we've talked about that fence metaphor a lot. And the second question says, "Movies tell stories through patterns, specifically patterns of similarities and differences. What was at least one pattern you saw in the movie that helped move the story forward?" Okay. I want you to think about these two questions for the next few minutes here and put something in the chat for me if you can. And
Can I tell you? Because that's a lot of writing.
yeah, that's okay. Quay, go ahead.
All right. So the first one, um, you mean like physically built the fence or just mentally?
Well, it can be both because we know he did physically build one, right?
All right.
So,
So
you could talk about physically
physically,
what did he
I
build to keep it in, mentally, whatever you think.
he did build the fence, and I felt as though he tried to keep his son out
Okay.
physically, and everybody else mentally. Um, like I said, mentally, he basically his family, like
Mm-hmm.
um, and the patterns I seen, like every time he was cool every time he get drunk.
Right. Right.
And
Right.
when he
Yeah.
wasn't drinking, it was everything like his moods would change.
You
He'll
did
talk
mention
to
that a lot. It's true.
he
Yeah.
his wife. He'll talk to his wife and kids differently. Like it was
Mm-hmm.
just a lot.
Yeah. Those are both really really good observations. Amir, do you have? So, and let me check in case you didn't put it in the chat already. Do you have some? Do you have similar thoughts, Mira? Do you think something a little bit different for each of these?
I think he built the fence to keep his family together.
Okay.
Um,
Now that's
And the
let's
reason why was because he was the only one like taking care of the family.
yeah.
So like I don't know.
No, that you're
I guess he didn't want nobody else to like if uh, I guess he didn't want like Rose to go nowhere if he can't really be the husband that she want him to be, I guess.
I think you're both totally right, right? So Quay said, he kind of built it to keep Corey out and keep his family out, but maybe that was his way, the only way he knew how to, like Mira said, keep his family together, because he thought, a lot of the things he said to Corey is, you have to
Yeah, I
do right
really
by
don't like
me. Like
it.
I
I
have
really
I have
don't.
responsibility to you because I'm, man, and you're my son, and
Thank
all these
you.
things. And I think that's kind of the difference that we see with Rose and Troy, right? Like, you know, Rose, they're both trying to keep their family together, right? But Rose kind of wants to build the fence to keep them all there in the house. And like she says, when she finds out Raynell is born, I didn't want any half siblings in my family because that's all I had and stuff like that.
And not even that too. I feel as though like he had for him building a fence mentally, I felt it was like that's where he kept his emotions like, and they was built up. He didn't know how to handle his emotions,
Right.
and he kept it like you said. He kept it built up,
Hmm.
bottled up in that fence. So it's like when he did try to talk or did try to react, it was all at one person or it was at particular people
Yeah.
since he didn't cope with his past, like with the sports situation, the baseball situation with his son. He was like, I don't want you to, but he said he was like, yeah, you don't want me to be like you because you're afraid I'm gonna be better than you, and that's
Right.
in most kids. That's how parents are. They be afraid that their children was gonna be. They don't want to be like them, or they half of the time sometimes they're gonna be better than them, and that's why I felt though like that was more conflicted because he was afraid that Corey actually was going to do something better than him.
Yeah. And if you remember when he talks to Rose about it, she says you don't want him to be like you, and he says you're absolutely right. I don't want him to be like me. I don't want him to go through the same kind of trials and tribulations that I went through. So again, that could be why we think he's building his fence to keep Corey out because he doesn't want him to kind of make the same mistakes. And then we see at the end, it almost kind of has worked in a way, right? Because now he is this corporal in the Marine Corps, and he's kind of made something of himself, and that's
Yeah.
what Rose kind of tries to get through to him at the end when he says, "I don't want to go to the funeral." She's like, "Look, you are everything your dad wasn't, but you're also everything he was at the same time." And he kind of did the best he could, the only way he knew how. And then we kind of see that symbolized in those last couple minutes there, right when Gabriel comes and he kind of blows in his trumpet and he's like, "Hey, I'm going to open the gates." And what did you notice in that shot when they're all like, the whole family's out there in the backyard and we can see the fence, right? And then what happens with the gate? Did you guys pick up on that? Ooh, sorry. And if you didn't catch it, uh, we'll play it
Wait,
again.
what you say?
I said, did we notice anything that happened, with the gate around the fence when we saw the family
Yeah,
kind of all
he was
standing there?
like you could see me. He said Saint Peter. He said, "I'm gonna tell Saint Peter to open the gate for you." Like you could see the clouds and stuff moving, and like he had like like it seemed like he had a connection with God. I guess like he
Definitely,
knew this was gonna happen.
definitely, right. And let's pay attention and watch. Kind of, hey, who is joining us? Let's see. Well, hey, Hadia, welcome. Let's pay attention and
Troy,
see kind of what happens
Troy, you
here.
ready?
Pay
Go ahead
attention
and tell St.
to.
Peter to open the gates. You,
All right,
you get ready now.
so we can see the gate right here, the gate to the fence. So let's pay attention, watch what happens with that. All right. So what do we see? What happened with the gate as soon as he calls out Troy's name?
It closes.
It
Like, what the
closes,
heck?
right? And so what do we think that is trying to assimilate? Remember, we're talking about fences keeping people in and keeping people out, right? And now we know he's trying to open up the gates for Troy to go to heaven. It seems. So what do we think that is supposed to mean that the gate closes there?
He made it to heaven or something. I don't know.
You're close, right?
He want to keep Troy in for real. Like even though he died,
Right.
he want to keep him in.
He wants to keep Troy in, and maybe Troy wants to keep them in. So now they're all together, in his house, and so he's kind of like his spirit, or whatever we might think, is kind of closing the gate to keep them all in together. It's kind of like, okay, at the end of the day, for as flawed of a character as he was, right? He's kind of done what he always intended to do, was to keep his family together, right? Like we said, and now they're kind of all in there inside the fence, and he's kept them in sometimes by keeping them out, I think, is what we can kind of sum up here. And that's just one of those ways where movies can help, or movies can kind of do things to tell a story that when we're just writing it or just reading it, we might not be able to do. They can tell stuff through what we're hearing with the characters speaking, but also visually through little shots like that kind of symbolize other stuff. Really good job, though. Really, really excellent insights. So then, what else do we have to do, right? Like I said, we want to try and make sure that checkpoint 2 is done for our progress report. So I'm going to share my screen again here real quick, and hang on. If you are on Summit, here we go. All right. If you're on Summit, you want to look for scene annotation, which is checkpoint 2. Should be the newest one there that you see, right? And if you click the link right here up in the box, it should bring you to a page that looks like this, right? And we went over this a little bit last time. Should look familiar. You can check out that YouTube video for to refresh yourself on how to get this done. But essentially what you're doing here is you're just reading the transcript of this scene between Troy and Corey where he asks, hey, how come you've never liked me? And then you're annotating it for word choice, right? Words that have connotations that help develop the plot and the characters, and also some themes. And again, with the theme, you can use what you put for your theme statements in checkpoint 1, if you've done that already, which you should have by this point, okay? And the way you're going to annotate this, just like I did, is kind of highlight the specific words or phrases you're talking about, and then you can kind of jot a note down right next to them, like I did here, right? And then you're going to do that for the whole scene, okay? And once that's done, hit request feedback, and then you are good, and you are all caught up, and we're just going to kind of move on to introducing the final product when we meet again on Thursday. So then we'll have the last week of the term to kind of get caught up on everything. Okay. All right. Questions on that checkpoint? Does that make sense? Where to find it, what you're doing with it, all that sort of stuff. Excuse me. No questions. If I don't hear from anybody, then I'm going to assume we're good. All right. If you haven't done that checkpoint yet, I need that checkpoint today by 5. so I can get it on to the progress report. All right. If you're not able to finish the whole thing by then, at least try and do a little bit so then I can at least mark you yellow, and then you can get caught up on it as the week goes on. But I need to see that you have done something with that by 5 today so that I can get it included on the progress report in time. Okay. If you have questions about anything as you're working on it, shoot me an email. Come, hey Nish, come see me in the Summit Lab later this afternoon if you want as well. Right. That's what I need from you. And Anisha and Hindi again, because I know you guys are kind of just joining us. Right. We just kind of recapped the end of the movie, kind of what all that stuff means. So you're welcome to watch the YouTube video later to get caught up on that. And now we are just working on checkpoint 2 on Summit. It's called scene annotation, like you can see it right here. Right. Click the link in the box and then it brings you to this page. And again, what you're doing is just annotating this scene, looking for these 2 things up here that are kind of spelled out. And again, there's also the recording on YouTube from last week where I kind of go over this in more detail. So you can watch that to help you get caught up as well. All right. That's what we're focused on for right now. Okay. Oh, and you rented the movie. All right, good. Awesome. So then you have that to kind of help you go off of. All right. So y'all, if there are any questions, I'm going to be in the chat muted, but the rest of the time this morning is for you guys to work on checkpoint 2 so you can make sure you have it done and included on the progress report. Okay. So I'm going to be in here muted. If you want to work on it in here in the chat in case you have a question, that's fine. If you want to leave the chat, work on it offline and pop back in if you have a question, that's fine as well. I have everybody on my attendance because I know, we're trying to get caught up with other stuff too. So just know that, again, I need to see you've done something with that by 5 today so I can include it for the progress report. All right. Questions about anything? Cool. All right. So like I said, rest of the time is you guys to work on that checkpoint. I'm going to be in the chat on mute, but I will be here if you have a question on anything. And just let me know. And then if we're still here, we'll kind of wrap everything up in about 25 minutes or so. All right. Thank you, ladies.